Good evening from me, Fazila, in Cape Town, South Africa. It is Sunday Lovestreams coming to you. It's something that I've been feeling the energy of and really sitting with the inquiry as to what is the intention and purpose in terms of coming on live on a Sunday. I've always wanted to share what it is that I have experienced, what I've researched, and what I teach as well. And coming on YouTube, I get to connect with a larger audience. I will say that I'm going through a pivot at the moment on my channel, and it's not the most comfortable place right now, but it's where I am and where I find myself. There's a lot that's been shifting and changing. This week has been quite a few milestones in terms of just observing where I am in this emergence, this change that's coming about. As I've mentioned in my previous lives and even on my channel, that I share, I teach, I do a lot of research around different teachings, understand what they're about. I have been doing that in the past close on 22 years now. And so I get to also, through trial and error, experimentation, look at what works best. I take the complex and I bring it into a more manageable and understandable way that can be applied as well. Now, I was reflecting on this week, and I was reflecting on the live. One of the big things we know that whether we feed our fears or our faith, it's totally up to us. We get to choose. And part of the journey, the inner journey that we take, which is to knowing ourselves, is to come into the, I want to say the experience, but it's not the experience, but it's to come into contact. It's coming into contact with some of our blocks, our limitations, some stuff that we may have inherited, so to speak, through our lineage, through family, through our ancestors. And so as we expand to each new level, one thing I read sometime earlier on this year, which I laughed about, but it's so apt, is every time we get to a new level, I don't know, did I say level? My words are feeling a bit muddled right now with just in terms of where I'm going. What I've prepared is not what is coming through. What wants to be expressed right now is something I experienced during this week. But every new level brings about the next devil. And it's not to say that the devil in terms of Satan or evil, etc., because honestly speaking, from my perspective, there are no devils. These are from my personal experience and what I've seen and had the experience of. It's all us. And especially Neville Goddard helped me to understand this, that every state exists in creation, and it is really where we choose, what we choose to occupy in terms of our state of consciousness, that will bring about the circumstances and the events and the people, because they meet us on the level of where we are at. And so even with our expansion in terms of, call it personal development, our transformation, clearing of blocks of wounds, etc., whatever verbiage, language that is out in mainstream, whatever you want to call it, in terms of the clearings and shifting and inner transformation, whatever we hold within us on the subconscious level is what we are going to be creating in the or even birthing in our external environment. And fear and faith both shape us. This is what I was tuning into before coming in onto the live, and I made notes today, and the notes are really for me to tune in and really connect with what do I choose to bring through and express today. Now, that particular aspect of how we can navigate our journey, that if we look at, is it faith, which means that I'm choosing consciously to take this next step, take inspired action, really connect within and be available and receive divine inspiration, receive guidance, because we have a narrow field of vision, we have a narrow view of the world. There's only so much we can process from the human perspective, and rightly so, in terms of how our biology is and how the brain works, not the mind. Because the brain is, for me, it's the operating system, it's the physical brain, whereas the mind is the consciousness that is sitting in and all around, in the cells, in the energy system, in the energy bodies, in consciousness. There is that conscious mind. And so faith, just coming back to that, to keep my thoughts coherent as well. Faith is intentional. Faith is conscious, and really to become aware of, where do I want to lead from? Now, it's not to say you'll never have fears, but when we become aware of what do I truly feel in this moment, let's say, I'll take the example of coming on live today. I've noticed I have some old stories and I have some old patterning about coming on live. And it used to be about creating my videos, putting those up on my channel. There were a lot of fears that were still sitting with me when I'd post my videos, when I would see how the views were going, etc. And I had made a commitment to myself that I would not stop until I had produced 100 videos. I'm on 87 videos right now. Some of them may be private, so that number could be a bit lower than what I'm quoting right now. So the commitment to myself is to produce 100 videos, and then decide, or then choose, what will I want to, what do I want to do? How do I want to be? What do I want to create? And so that's where I've been grappling with some stuff, that there's an old narrative about the visibility being seen, but also when we create something, that creation goes out into the world. And that creation then can mirror to us as we put that out into the world. It will mirror to us and have us look at, if we're available to it, what our fears are, what our vulnerabilities are, what are the things that are still unresolved, what is our emotional state, where's our consciousness leading from. And this week, I still uncovered some parts of the old narrative. It's not so deep that it's not so strong, I should say this. So it's not so strong that it's running the narrative of my conscious decisions, etc. But it does come up in subtle ways. And it's almost like trying to catch a jellyfish in water. I am aware of it, and yet it is so subtle that it does come up into my consciousness, and then it kind of drifts away. And so I've got to be aware that I'm receiving some information at this current time, which really is about, should I go on and do this live? What is it going to, what is it going to achieve? No, let's rather not do this, because if we put it out, what if the views are low, etc. And I've chosen to rather take action, which is get on to camera, come on at 7 p.m. on a Sunday night. And I was really heartened, and I was happy to really have this, what would I like to put out, that yes, when this yesterday, when it dropped in, instead of choosing to call this a live stream, what if I chose to see this as a love stream? And love from this perspective of all of those things that are honoring, caring, appreciation, self-worth, value, gratitude. How would that change? And so taking that into consideration today, or reminding myself, what if, rather than a live stream, which has all of this like heavy based feeling of coming on live, etc., that I drop into the energy of Lovestream, that I stop and I just refine and I choose, where am I leading from? Because fear will lead, and fear will bring in 101 other bits of all the old data, all the old stories about why I should keep myself safe, why I should not put myself into the to be high, in more in why I should not be raising my visibility, putting out lives, because the question of what if this doesn't go well, what if it gets no views, well, what if it goes well? And goes well is a whole other can be a whole other story, because then we come into, what is the definition of it goes well? What is the definition of success? What if it doesn't need to go viral? And what if I choose to do this from the perspective of showing up? That every time I show up, I am building up a capacity, capability, getting more comfortable. One of my big things, and I've said it to one or two of my friends that I have these conversations with sometimes, is I have this narrative. I used to have this narrative in going on the inner conversations. Don't ramble. Don't get lost in the conversation. And then I realized something. It was always there in my awareness, but I didn't realize this is my capacity. So I found out from really understanding my human design profile, that I'm a manifesting generator. Now, I used to think that doing 10 things, having 10 different interests, etc., believe me, I have probably about 40 tabs open on my browser alone. I'm going to come back to this, and I want to do this, and I'm going to do that. So now these days I'm far more disciplined. There's stuff that I'm researching. So I've got that, and I've got it organized in ways that will help me to become more effective. Now, manifesting generators are great starting many things. And when there's something that is of particular importance, or it's something that really talks to a manifesting generator, they will complete it as well. And so when I started to look at this profile from that perspective, I realized, wow, okay, I have the capacity to really go broad. I also have the capacity to go deep into subject matter and understanding. And if something catches my attention, I'm there. I will look into it, I will understand it, I will look at how it relates to me, I will look at how it relates to human behavior, how it drives us as humans, all of that. And so I've started to really honor myself, And when I say started to, some days I forget you have this capacity to really look at many things at once. Have fun with it. So my fears around this could be, what if I don't make sense? What if I come on and I talk a lot of nonsense? But what if whatever is coming through me right now, even though it doesn't feel structured, even though it doesn't feel like it might be coherent, there's energy, there's medicine, and there's a message for that person who is truly available and ready to receive as well. And so coming on live, one of the things that I've also reminded myself around is when I don't show up, even if it's just one person who watches this love stream, with me being kinder to me and breaking a pattern of unkindness, of beliefs, of misaligned and dysfunctional programs and thought patterns, etc. One other person gets to hear this and they choose to do something with that. If I don't show up, they may not have the opportunity at this point right now. And because creation is just so amazing, maybe they don't miss out, but they don't get to hear the message from my perspective, through my energy, through my words. And maybe that, what I drop in right now, helps them to really get that awareness and the teaching or the understanding, or it unwinds something for them that much quicker. I've been really humbled and found freedom as well in actually realizing and learning. It's stuff, it's some deep work I've been doing I've been practicing and working through in these past 2 months. We are never going to know fully the answer to something. Why is X and Y happening to me? Or why did this happen to my friend? Or why did this happen to this person? We will never know. And the best thing we can do is step out of judgment, step out of the meaning that we're giving to it, and really look at what within me is holding that belief. What meaning have I given to this? We will never know that perhaps what looked like tragedy on the outside was that person's path to awakening. We will never know that one act of kindness, it's that butterfly effect, that a butterfly flaps its wings in the Amazon, in the jungles of Brazil, and that starts a cascade of events, and it brings about rain in Japan or in Australia. What if we stopped trying to understand, which is to stand under someone else's consciousness, awareness, their understanding? There should be a better word for that, but I'll come back to it. And we chose the awareness. We chose to become more available, that the energy speaks to us, that we get shown the guidance. And often, my friends, one of the other things I learned from Neville Goddard's work is signs follow, they do not precede. So please take it from me, do not. You are so powerful as a manifester. Do not set up an if this, then that. Believe me, it would have been cheaper for me, but I've learned some lessons along the way. What I mean by this is you decide that, let's say, if I see a lime green car on the highway today, then I will choose to make this choice, or I'll choose to go to this place, or I'll choose to call this person up. All you are doing is you are activating within you a suspicion, and suspicions actually manifest. If you don't believe me, the last time you suspected something or someone, look at how quickly it turned up in your reality, and things are coming in hot and heavy. They are coming in fast. In fact, that is something I wanted to talk about from this week. I wanted to lead in with when I was in my mediumship circle this week, and I had another participant, another group member who we come into circle once a week so that we can practice. And it takes discipline, and it does take showing up, etc., to really build this muscle of intuition that as a psychic medium, I trust that everything is okay. I trust that I will be available. I'll be open to receiving the messages that is most meant for the person that I connect with. And I have faith that it is already done. And in this mediumship, this session, let's call her B. Before I connected with B, I had a very strong message that came through. And in the session, the words just literally came through me, and what I asked her, does your name mean the following? And she said, I don't know. It was really no issue, and continued with her reading and her session. Now, interestingly, at the end of the session, she shared with me that she had drawn a diagram in her notes, and she showed this to me, and it was the same meaning as what I'd asked her at the beginning of her reading. And I was speechless, and she said, I didn't want to influence you, and I just wanted to let you go on with the reading. So I said to her, one of the big things that I have been working through is this fear of getting things wrong. When I set the intention and started to channel for her, one of my intentions, and this was really dropping into the heart space and saying and reminding myself, Spirit is always going to have my back. And I do not believe that Spirit gets anything wrong. So there is no belief that I'm going to get this wrong, because I am supported and I'm guided. And we concluded the reading, so I was really happy, because this for me was a celebration that I trusted more than getting it right, because I wasn't so much focusing on getting anything right. I was avoiding getting stuff wrong. And so now we concluded the session, and I expressed my gratitude and my thanks, because it has been really about showing up for classes. It's really been about showing up for the practice. It's really been about exercising this intuitive muscle. I woke up on Wednesday morning, and I was guided to go and look up B's name. And I'm using this just in terms of confidentiality perspectives. And when I looked up B's name, it was exactly the words. The meaning of her name meant exactly the same thing that I had expressed to her right at the beginning of her session. Now, I was surprised and not surprised. This was a demonstration in terms of trust. This was a demonstration in terms of my faith being rewarded in me. It really was about the celebration that I've moved away from getting it wrong. Now it really is focus on just showing up, focus on the discipline of just the practice. And so if this will help you in any way in your life, if there's something that you're doing that is new for you, if there's something that maybe you started out with, but you are in that phase of the beginner. Now, it may not be that you are a beginner, but you are in the phase of beginner. And when we're in the phase of the beginner, what you're going to keep reminding yourself is, the more I show up, the more I practice, the more information and data I can get about what needs refinement here. And what needs refinement is really to keep dropping the old narrative of I can't, or I'm afraid, or I have anxiety about how this is going to turn up, and being open to receiving that support, the guidance. Because when we have less distraction, when we have when our connection, when our channel is clear, when it's a strong connection, you don't have to figure out, you don't have to work hard at. You just become more practiced at staying away from the distraction, not believing in the negative aspects. And that takes practice as well. So it's not about avoiding it, but it's actually realizing, hey, this has come up for me. Don't choose to feed that continually, because then I choose to feed on that as well? Because we can do that. We can go into this loop of the negative story, the old stuff, the memories, the experiences from the past. And that's what we've got to break. Be aware. Am I feeding on faith, or am I feeding on fears? And even with faith, it can sometimes be a little bit of an illusion. We may think we're coming from faith, but if there's neediness, if there's desperation, if there's something that is saying, I believe this is going to happen because it has to. I believe that this is the only way it must happen. Be aware, that's not really faith. To cultivate your faith is to really keep coming back to, where am I leading from? What are there any blocks or limitations or programs that are actually going to be distorting how I'm perceiving where I'm at, what I choose to call forward, what I choose to create? And beyond that, faith is not this big show. It's not, by no means, it's not religious. It's not that you are going to, you are giving up any of your sovereignty. You are giving up, putting faith outside of you in anything. No, this is not about if this, then that. If I see this particular, if I see a feather along the way, or if I see, if I get these numbers come up. And it's not to say that we do not use symbology or we do not use numerology, etc. But it is saying that do not give away your power to something outside of you. When we become that clear refinement, embodiment of, I am this person who already feels and believes within themselves that I would love to see in my life. Maybe you want to manifest something. Maybe you have a desire for something. Check to see first that there are no underlying preconditions. There are no underlying attachments, etc. to this. When you're truly non-attached, you won't worry about the consequences. You will choose from where you're at. When you're truly non-attached, you will know with certainty within yourself, I choose to do this. I am this. I am the person already that I maybe 5 minutes ago, 5 weeks ago, 5 months ago wasn't believing I am. But now I choose to show up in the way that says I already have this within me. And the interesting thing then is that by choosing that, by really aligning with that version, it's not the future, it's already here. It's not down the road, it's already here. It's not in 2 months when I start having that feeling state of, I truly have this. It already lives within me. It's already created in my energy field. It's already feeling very aligned for me. And that's what you continue to feed. You lean in and you know that divine love, divine wisdom, infinite intelligence that has created everything in creation also knows how this is to come to you. And so the big part of this is just to keep going back into the faith that I have this already. It is already mine. And if it is already mine, would I have anxiety about this? Would I have anxiety about not having this? Would I be doubting it? No. And so clear the distractions, clear the noise, drop into that space and connect with the state of consciousness that you would already become. And you already are it. If you choose to not be aligned by or not be aligned with the fear. So this for me has been a very different energy today. I want to let you know that just with what I've spoken about on the experience from a mediumship perspective, many people are coming online in terms of their intuition, psychic abilities, whatever else you want to call it, your gifts, your talents, etc. And even that, everyone has that potential, everyone has it available. But it is somewhat like learning the steps of a dance. You know, you don't go from watching someone dance on a YouTube video to it, you getting it immediately. Maybe you have that capacity, and that would be fantastic. I myself am learning some steps of YouTube videos, but it is in taking that daily action, in taking the daily, in practicing, that we become practiced and we become mastered. And so many people who want to know how to tap into their abilities or their gifts, etc. The first place is to clear out any blocks, any limitations, and then it truly is understanding how your faculties work, understanding how your gifts work, understanding what it is that is strongest within you and what wants to be expressed. And then it's trusting and having faith that those gifts that you already possess, because it's already there. It's a matter of you becoming the person who is experiencing it unfolding and taking a step at a time in order to really express them. That's all it is. And over time, you start to trust the process and you have faith that whatever is showing up for you then, what you've called forward, you're exactly in the right place in the right time. So from this love stream tonight, I am sending love out to everyone, everywhere. Thank you for being on the planet at this time. Thank you for co-creating a new world. And may you find peace that is beyond understanding. Good night, and take care.